All right, y'all, we back. Episode 16 from the Life Skills TT series, Finding Your Inner Light, Your Path to Self-Worth. Today, we're going to talk about stigmas, all kind of stigmas. But first, we're going to talk about institutional and the definition of institutional. The term institutional refers to established laws, practices, and structures that govern organizations and systems with society, such as government, school, healthcare facilities, and corporations. Institutions play a crucial role in shaping social behavior, norms, and expectations, often influencing how individuals interact with one another and assess resources. Institutional frameworks can promote stability and order, but they can also perpetrate inequalities and discrimination when their policies and practices favor certain groups or over others. For example, institutional racism can manifest in hiring practices such as disadvantages minority candidates, while institutional barriers in healthcare can limit access to treatment for marginalized communities. Understanding the role of institutions is essential for addressing social issues and advocacy for reforms that will promote fairness, equity, and inclusion across different sectors of society. And that's institutional. But let's talk about institutional stigma. Institutional stigma refers to the systematic discrimination and negative attitudes embedded within the policies and practices of organizations and institutions such as school, workplace, healthcare system, and the criminal justice system. Institutional stigma in a nutshell. Before I get into my first shared experience, this is about me. This is how I rewired myself. This is how, I go back to the past so I can unlock the future. And my themes were I was an outcast, a black sheep, and I'm always going against the grain. But in order to understand that, we have to start off from the beginning. I was born in Trenton, New Jersey, 1970. My grandmother and my mother came out here to California, Monterey. My grandfather was in the military. I was about 3.5, 4 years old. So I'm out here in Cali, and I'm an outcast because I'm from different regions. It took me a long time to understand that because I never got along with a lot of dudes. And then I started realizing, well, I'm from a totally different region of individuals, people, community, tribe, all my family's back there in various states. So I'm basically out here alone. My dad followed shortly not after that, but when I landed in Cali, I was an outcast. Probably from like 9 to 12 or 13, I used to go back and forth to the East Coast. This is about 1982. They always got the music first back there on the East before they got it over here on the West. Same with fashion, same with clothes. So anytime I was back there, I was always, and at that time, I wanted some kind of fashion. So my dad, he takes me downtown New York. I don't know where specifically. He takes me downtown New York. We walk in. I'm not paying attention like always. I just think everything's great. And he keep telling me, hey, man, stay on this side of me. Just like I learned when I get older, when you walking on the street, you have your woman on the inside. Well, he kept, then he got it. He said, hey, just stay on the inside. And right when he's telling me that, two dudes walk up with some watches. They like, hey, you want to buy some watches? And my dad's like, no, I'm cool. I ain't got no money, this, and that. He tried to spin off, so they came up a little closer. And my dad was like, no, I don't have no money. But when he said that, he pushed me like to the side like that. And that gave me an indication that, hey, this, get ready. This might be a little serious. But he was teaching me something, and nothing happened. We got out of a situation. My dad's like, I don't got no money bringing my son down here to do, whatever. And so My whole purpose for going down there is I wanted the MCM hat. You know, the MCM hat and the MCM pouch to match. And that's what I got. But yeah, because what I do now is I'm like, well, what is it? So we in the age of information, so I look it up. And the MCM Mo Creation Munch brand was founded in 1976 in Munich, Germany. Initially, it was established as a luxury leather goods brand focusing on high quality craftsmanship and design. MCM gained popularity in the 1980s, particularly for its iconic monogram bags, accessories, which appealed to the fashion-forward clientele. Over the years, the brand has evolved, expanding in product offerings, including a wider range of fashion items while maintaining its reputation for luxury and style. So here it is that I'm chasing some stuff that was actually made in Germany. And this is what I tell you when you'll end up backwards and you'll end up in a non-reality, because now that I know that and I check things like that, I just don't buy stuff and be like, no, find out who they are, what they're about, what they represent. It'll keep your energy right. You won't be in nothing that you ain't supposed to be in. And so now we're going to get into what you call the labeling theory, because I was called an outcast, and I even wrote it when I was doing my raps, and then all of a sudden the group came out. Black sheep, same thing. Who's the black sheep? What? Same thing. So I'm identifying with this as being something like, hey, this is cool. Yeah, I could ride with this. I could deal with all the stigma. You know, I'm in a place where I'm not supposed to be. And so I'm just going to I'm going to read you some of the labeling theory. And it is a psychological concept that explores how labels assigned to individuals can significantly influence their identity and behavior. Originating from the work of a sociologist like Howard Beck, the theory posts that when society labels of someone as deviant and problematic, such as calling a person criminal or mentally ill, it can lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you think about what's going on in the media, in the news today, and think about how the individual, before he got to his glory, went through some of these stereotypes because didn't know his identity or sexuality. Probably was outcasted, which will turn you, when people turn you down, no matter how much money you got. It's an emotional thing. It's a not wanted feeling, and it makes people do things. You know, but the labeled individuals may internalize these negative labels, which can impact their self-esteem and lead them to adopt behaviors consistent with the label. I'll read it again. Which can impact their self-esteem and lead them to adopt behaviors consistent with the label, which would be the individual that you look up to, the individual that you follow, of the community or the system. If you're dealing with this and you're going against the grain, then if you're out here where I used to be, then they probably want you to dress up as some weird gangbanger. And you don't know why or what you fighting over. You don't own none of this. Anyway. And so this process often perpetuates stigma and marginalization, as an individual may find it difficult to escape the identity imposed by society, ultimately affecting their opportunities, relationship, and mental health. The theory emphasized the importance of the understanding the social implications of labeling and the need to challenge negative societal perceptions to foster acceptance and support for individuals. That's the labeling theory. And this theory was by a guy, I'm going to leave a link in the description. He's Howard Becker. He's an American psychologist best known for his work in the field of sociology, particularly in relation to the labeling theory of deviance. He was born April 7, 1928. Becker gained prominence with his influential book called The Outsiders. Published in 1963, in this work he explores how society defines deviance and how labeled individuals internalize those labels, leading to a self-fulfilling prophecy. Becker's research emphasizes the social construction of the deviants, arguing that behaviors are not inherently deviant, but become so through societal reactions and labels. He focused on various marginalized groups, including drug users and artists, to illustrate how societal perceptions shape identities and experiences. Becker's contributions have a long-lasting impact on sociology, particularly in the understanding of the dynamics of stigma, identity, and social interaction. You know, I put a lot of stuff on there about social communication and social interaction. It's very important because you'll be led astray. You'll be led down a windy road, and you will do it alone because it's a choice. And once you understand that, you will get in tune with yourself, get tapped in, know your energy and stuff, and you won't be going for none of that and falling for none of that. This is a construct. This is a system, and this is specifically, I am talking about identifies with me. Stigma, because this shapes you, and then the only way that I actually rewired myself and got back, I went to mental health. Because the foundation and the structure for that of knowing who you are, understanding who you should be with, what kind of energy you have, how you should move, is all rooted in mental health. And we'll get into that later, but I'm going to give you an example of social stigma. It is a negative perception and discrimination faced by individuals with mental health conditions. People may hold stereotypes such as believing that those with mental illness are dangerous, unpredictable, incapable of performing daily tasks. This stigma can lead to social inclusion, where individuals avoid and distance themselves from those with mental health issues, making it harder for them to seek help, form relationships, and integrate into society. For instance, someone with depression might feel isolated or reluctant to discuss their struggles due to fear of being judged or labeled, which can exacerbate their condition and hinder their recovery. Because you need to recover. PTSD, anxiety, depression, all these emotional things that I could not control because I didn't have any identity. I told you that a couple of episodes previous. And when you're out there, they will mold and shape. You start like me, I'm believing this stuff. Yeah, I'm an outcast, I'm a black sheep, but actually, no, this ain't my people, my tribe. I really need to go back home to my region where I am, where the energy is, the level, the love. Sometimes it's just as simple as that, making that change and sticking with it. That's another part of integrity. Because in the end, it's going to be you that's going to have to deal with a lot of stuff that's created by other people. And so here are some examples of institutional stigma. So you have employment discrimination, you got healthcare access, you got educational policies, you got the criminal justice system, you got housing policies, you got public health initiatives, and workplace culture. And what people don't understand, anytime you're talking about stigma, you're talking about mental health. And you can go to any definition, it's going to pop up as mental health. Also, self-stigma is when individuals internalize public stigma or feel shame or worthlessness. I'm no longer at the top of the mountain looking down, self-stigma, but that all has to do with the individual. So this week, it's hot in here, you know what I'm saying. This week, simple stereotypes, everybody's throwing it around. I know when I landed in a different region, I was an outcast, adopted the black sheep, all the time, like you going against the grain. And that's why I wanted to dispel that, because that doesn't apply to me. It ain't where you're from, it's where you're at. That doesn't apply to me because I have 25, 30 years of proof that, yeah, it is where you're from. So I'm going to conclude with that. I appreciate y'all hanging out. Till next week. Outcast and the black sheep. Let it go.